Hello, everyone. We're back with brand new Doctor Who. Brand new Doctor Who.
God.
Wow, 13 months after the 13th Doctor left,
Hmm.
and we have a new episode on a Saturday night. So we're recording this the day after.
Yeah, as
Um,
we're recording this time yesterday, I was just getting ready to watch it. It started in 5 minutes.
oh, oh God, I was busy last night, so I was frantically hiding my social media. I wasn't looking at anything. And then as soon as I got back to the place I was staying, I was like, it needs to go on, which is nice because I had like it was a little watch party, which was quite nice. And everyone sort of spoiler alert, everyone enjoyed it. Which kind of gives a hint as to where we're going to go in this review. Um, but yeah, it was a fun time. It was so nice just to have Doctor Who back on the screens. Whether however you feel about the previous era, it doesn't matter. As long as you're not comparing and contrasting. And being the whole yay, Doctor Who's back, and not in the sense that it's
Ugh,
returned to the screens, more in the sense that
awful
it
people.
again. Because it's always been good. Um, no matter what you think. Sorry, guys.
It's always been Doctor Who.
Has
Sorry
continued
about it.
being good. Surprise, surprise. Um,
Oh
who
my
knew
God.
a show that had been good for the past 18 years continues to be good now? Which,
Shocking.
I mean, to be fair, that is a feat in itself, I guess.
Yeah, that's
Especially
true.
considering what 18 years into the classic series, things weren't looking so hot. So, so it's good, big success. Um, it's back. It's obviously got Russell T Davis as the head, as the showrunner and the writer for this episode. David Tennant is back as the Doctor, but as the 14th Doctor rather than the 10th Doctor. And Catherine Tate is returning as Donna Noble. You've also got Yasmin Finney playing her daughter Rose. And is it Jacqueline King
Yep.
playing Sylvia? And forgive me, I cannot remember the actor who plays Sean, but he is
Well,
also here. Can you?
he's Louis in Hollyoaks.
There we go. Nice. There in this, we've also got Miriam Margoyles, however you want to pronounce
Yeah,
it.
Margulies, something like that.
She voices the Meep, this little guy down here, which we'll come on to. And we've also got, again, I've forgotten her name. I saw it earlier, but I've forgotten it. But the actress who plays Shirley Ann Bingham, who is the new
Ruth
unit scientific
Madley.
officer. Ruth Madley, there we go. She's the new scientific officer for unit, who's also makes an appearance in this one. Um, and I believe is a recurring character, at least through this specials, and more than likely into the next series as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was a whole hour long. There's a whole thing to go on, but the basic premise of the story is the Meep has crash land, and there's another alien race tracking down the Meep, and Unit have also got caught in the crossfire, as has the Doctor and Donna cannot remember the Doctor, or bad things will happen. That's where we sort of start the story. Um, and hijinks ensue.
Yes.
So what did you think of it overall? Just a mere 24 hours after it's aired.
Yes, 24 hours. I liked it. I thought it was good.
Mm-hmm.
It was just nice to have Doctor Who back. I think that's also gonna, it's gonna have that advantage of that excitement as well. And sixth anniversary, all these returning people. I think it was going to have to do a lot to like really live up to that hype, and I do think it
Mm-hmm.
manages to do that in a pretty successful way. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think it flew by. I
Mm.
was surprised to like kind of see how it was coming towards the end. I think it helped that the twist, if you can call it a twist. Some people probably
Mm-hmm.
did see it coming, but it
Yeah,
happened. It happened.
people in I watched it with were generally surprised by the
Yeah.
twist. They had no idea. So
The nerds who don't know who the Meep is will obviously be quite surprised, I think.
yeah,
Especially when you get someone like Miriam Margolyes, even though she's a very wholesome person, but also, mouth,
yeah,
but
she's
pretty
very
potty
blunt.
mouth and everything. So it really is like the perfect choice. But we'll get on to that. But that twist happened quite a lot earlier in the episode than I thought it was going to. So
Mm-hmm.
it I think the pacing for that I think really did work. It allowed us to see both sides of the Meep. Um, but yeah, it was a good time. I did enjoy kind of seeing this cast back and the new characters being included as well. Um, and an interesting kind of stepping stone to see where the other two specials go. But yeah, it's good to have Doctor Who back, and I think this is a very
Mm-hmm.
solid kind of first entry into this new era.
Yeah, I think definitely for what it needs to be, it does that very well. It feels very 11th Hour-esque, I think, in that you can see the immediate change in crew, similar to that one. You can see that the sort of budgets have gotten better, similar to series 4 to 5. And also you can tell there's sort of not a different tone, but a more, this one at least had a more, I think, funny tone to it. Whether that continues through the three specials, who knows? This one certainly had a lot of humor to it, which was great. It is always a fun show. But I think the comedy was definitely sort of front and center for this one, to kind of draw people in and make them relaxed about the whole show situation and where we're going with it, which is good. As always, for our reviews, we have three positives and 3 negatives each, which we will try and stick to, although we may have additional ones.
Yes,
but we won't have.
I have plenty to give.
Oh yes, this could be a long one. But it's
Yes.
fine. It's fine. We'll just ramble on as always. I'll kick us off for this first special then. My first one, which again may lead into one of yours, is just the cast as a whole.
Okay.
I thought, David Tennant. I thought, Catherine Tate. But I was like, I didn't want all 3 of my positives to just be cast members. So I was like, it's just the whole cast. I don't think. I mean, there might be one dud, which we'll come on to, but they don't play a very big role. Overall,
were they driving a taxi?
No. They were okay. Looking for aliens on their street. Yes, so we'll come on to that.
That's fair.
But I know what you mean. But yeah, I think everyone was great. I think David Tennant really sold this role as the 14th Doctor. I think there are elements of the 10th Doctor obviously in there, but I think there's enough to differentiate him between the two, which is good. I think Catherine Tate really sells the performance both pre and post. Well, we're talking about spoilers throughout this whole thing, so soz if you've not seen it. Pre and post meta crisis reveal, I guess. Both from being the sort of the blunt, London woman to being sort of the scientific mind that she is. I think she sells that transformation very well, and the emotion and everything behind that, and also being a mum to Rose. I think she sells and is easily believable. Sylvia's great. Sean, the acting's a little bit wooden at times, but I think
it was, for me, just the taxi scene. But I think that was maybe they were directed to be that way, and I think the writing was a bit corny as well. I was just like, why are you shouting at each other? You're in the same cab. It's okay. It was just that one scene because you didn't have much to do outside of that, so it's fine.
No, and I think I did like that interaction between them with the she's fine. She's been fine. She's been fined. I like that. I thought that was good. But and then also when he comes in and he's like, what's that smell? And they're all sort of
that was okay. That was the funniest bit of the episode for me.
It's great.
Just the meet and the instant cut was just so good.
Yeah. So yeah, that was. I think he really didn't have much to do, but I think in what he did was great. He is just the wholesome figure of this family. He's the Graham and the Dan of this trio, at least of this trio of episodes, it seems, which is great. Miriam obviously as the Meep is great, both pre and post. I'm evil. I'm doing the evil voice. It's great. You can tell she's having a blast with it, and you can see in the behind the scenes footage they've released after that she's really enjoying it. Yasmin Finney as well as Rose was great. I think that's a very nice sort of character to bring in, and we'll probably talk about that more as well as we go on through this review. And she again gives a great performance throughout that as well. And then you've got all the unit soldiers. I think they're all fine. I think Ruth Madley's fine. I think they don't have too much to do, but I think they do a pretty good job with what they've got. So overall, there's not really a dud in this cast, which is great. I love it when we have a supporting cast and everyone's on top form. And it's especially good because it's the 60th anniversary, so everyone needs to kind of be pulling in the same direction. So it's great, but obviously the standouts are probably David Tennant and Catherine Tate, as you would expect at this point. So what's your first?
Are they?
Oh, yeah. Whoa, well, what's your first positive?
My first is the Meep.
Yep.
Fair enough. / Miriam Margolis, because her performance is just everything. Her whole Miriam Margosi into that role Yeah, need to stop doing that.
The whole me put.
Yeah. No, stop. But yeah, I loved the Meep. Both versions. The true Meep and the undercover. I'm so sweet and nice Meep. I mean, not the transphobic Meep, obviously, but
no, not the bit where she's transphobic, but
no,
after,
not
after
ideal. Yeah, hide your shirt. But yeah, I was really. I mean, I assume like, okay, this weird little thing's gonna probably steal the show, and I do think it does. Just this little run into the taxi and everything, hilarious.
And when it tiptoes behind the guy asleep on the couch as well. I was like,
yeah,
great stuff.
I do like that. I mean, Doctor Who can be very silly and stupid and stuff, and I think that's kind of just on the right kind of balance of it for my taste. Everything they kind of did with the Meep, because it is fucking ridiculous. The fact that that's the main villain is ridiculous, but also it just works so well. And I think it is kind of a great adaptation, I guess, of the comic book persona that fans would probably, well, some of them will be aware of, and people who aren't, like, I'm not overly familiar. You might still be like, oh, maybe they are doing something different to the comic story with this, and then obviously you do get that reveal, and there's time for like both sides of the Meep to breathe.
Where it's got a little throne as well, and
comes in. Carrying it in. Praise the Meep. Just absolute batshit and bonkers, but it was so good. I think the design of it is really good. I thought the physical model of it was great, and even when it was CG, it looked fantastic as well. Which, given the fact that this episode had the budget of an entire series from 2005, makes sense. So yeah, that all looked great. And I do think you could tell Miriam was just having an absolute blast doing the voice for it. It was so good. And yeah, just not only can it be so easily memed, it's also just in itself a very good villain and a very good kind of creature in its own right, that I did really, really enjoy how they did it as like this maybe one-off baddie. Who knows if we see the Meep again one day. Not dead. I did think it was going to die, but it didn't, so that's a nice surprise.
I did think when they like ejected it, I was like, they just kill it.
I thought it was just going to blow up, yeah. Or like the parachute just has a hole in it, so just something. Miss Foster's it, but it didn't, which is nice. So yeah, I enjoyed everything about it. I remember when we first got like filming pictures of it, and people were like, "Oh, it's Beep the Meep." I'm like, "What the fuck is that? That's gonna be weird." And I ended up absolutely loving it, and yeah, just it was all I could look at whenever it was on screen. So ridiculous, but so good as well. I loved everything about it, really. A very kind of simple villain with a simple plan that's thwarted very easily and everything. But I think in an episode like this, all the setup it needs to do for the next two specials and stuff, you kind of need a villain like that. So I thought it was an excellent choice, and I think they did it really well.
Yeah, I think like we sort of said when we sort of looking forward at this one, this feels very much like the cozy episode, where it's just a sort of nice, sort of easy one to get into, and this is definitely the right kind of villain to it, especially with people that don't know the backstory behind it will get more out of it with the twist, especially because of its persona. You don't think it's going to be that gross, like kind of like a gremlin, where it's nice and then it turns into horrible. Ooh,
it is very gremlin-esque, isn't it? And very easy to market. You can make all sorts of merch.
Well, exactly. And yeah, I think they did have basically somebody was in a suit the whole time. I think is pretty much how.
Yes, I did see a credit for someone in the suit.
Yeah, and they had like I think 2 different heads that they would just swap out when it was evil, obviously, and then they would just do like some CGI enhancements to make the face sort of twitch a little bit more.
That moment where like its face just transforms into like the evil face. Yeah. It was really good.
Thank you. Sorry, it just gives up and kills him. Like, okay, well, you found me. Guess I'm gonna kill you now.
Die. Incredible.
It's great. It's amazing. So my second positive is, and it's one that gets a lot of people riled up, but it's the overall message of the story, sort of at the end, because it is something that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be. And Russell's spoken about it since in interviews in Doctor Who Unleashed, the behind the scenes show, saying that if you put these things in these shows, if you put these messages in there and these people, it becomes normal and people would stop getting such a visceral reaction to it, which they shouldn't be getting in the first place. But having it be more centralized and people see it from a younger age, they understand it more, they'll see it more, they'll enjoy it more. I think it's great, and you've already seen people online going, Campbell, it's been down my throat, whatever. And I'm like, well, if you don't like it,
Good.
just don't, just don't watch it. If you don't
Watch
like
the
it,
old
just
stuff
piss
you
off.
like then. Piss
Watch
off.
the old
Yeah.
stuff that's definitely not woke.
Definitely not. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've yet to speak to my granddad about this episode.
yeah.
He stopped watching when Jodie became the Doctor.
Of course.
That generation. And when I told him, oh, Rusty Davies is coming back, and David Tennant, Catherine, I was like, oh, fantastic at last. And I know for a fact he's going to hate this, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, it would be funny, but I think it's great. I think it deals with it in such a human way as well. Just the interaction between Donna and Sylvia about, oh my god, am I doing it right? I'm making these mistakes.
That whole scene is one of my bonus positives. Just as a spoiler.
Yeah, it's so wholesome.
I liked Sylvia in a scene. What the fuck is going on?
She was good in this episode. How could that happen?
I'd have put
she's developed
on her being a transphobe, but thank God
yeah,
that's not true.
There you go. She's so wholesome. But yeah, it's those conversations are ones that people have in their lives and what people should be having. If someone comes out to you as trans, you shouldn't be like, oh my god. You should be more, okay, great. This is who you are. Fantastic. I will support you any way I can, but I may make mistakes.
They want you to ask.
It's not on purpose.
They want you to ask questions. One of my at secondary school, I had a guy who came out as trans. They want you to ask questions, and what do we call you? What do we refer you to? And I think having a scene like that in something like Doctor Who is going to allow, particularly, I think, young kids to ask those questions and get comfortable with it. Yeah. So I think it was really good.
Yeah, definitely. And also that whole thing in establishing the Doctor as non-binary, which makes sense considering they've been a man and they've been a woman, and they can be literally anything because they just regenerate into whatever.
And neither and more.
Yeah, so
they can be the meat.
Could you imagine? They could grow whiskers. Whatever they want to do, they could do. And I think that's something that the show's been certainly putting out there. I mean, except for the whole Jodie Whittaker regeneration. Even before that, it's been like, oh, you could do whatever. But for it to be explicit and finally take the step and say, look, this is definitely what it is. If you don't like it, you're gonna have to get off the train because we're not stopping. And I appreciated that. I think a lot of people have appreciated that. Obviously, those communities have appreciated that. And if people don't like that, then there are 800 episodes on BBC iPlayer where you don't have to watch that kind of thing. After this episode comes out, you probably won't have to worry about it again because it will just be an accepted bit of the law that probably won't be explicitly referenced much in the future. So you can just enjoy it, but at the same time, it literally impacts you in no way. So get over it. Much like the resolution to the Metacrisis thing, just let it go. Just let it go. It's fine. You can just let it go. There's no need to worry about it anymore. But yeah, I think the way the message, I know people will say, oh, it's ham-fisted, oh, it's thriller. I think it explicitly needed to do that to reach the audience that are perhaps not savvy enough to read between the lines. Which is good. I'm thankful that it did. So what's your second positive?
Mine is actually Shirley Ang, played by Ruth Madeley. Another very pleasant surprise. I like all the new things in this 60th anniversary special. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought she had a really great dynamic with David. And given I'm fairly sure she's probably going to be in the Giggle, based on trailers and stuff. I'm glad we're probably going to get more of that. And the fact that she was like intrigued to meet the Doctor, but it wasn't like her whole life. Like Osgood. Interesting cast. Yeah, I think that'd be great to see Osgood and her on screen together to see a very different dynamic at play. So I like that she kind of just shrugs it off and it's not like my whole life's dream or anything. So I thought that was fun. The fact that she was like scientific advisor number 36 or something. She was very playful
56.
With that. 56. Fucking hell. Slow down, unit. They clearly
they just go through them.
Yeah. Well, I suppose one of them was killed by Missy.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. So I really enjoyed her and the way she was kind of taking charge, and you know, she didn't let herself be like a burden or a problem. I think when it was just like all the stairs and stuff, she's like, oh, just get on with it. That's great. And again, just the right sort of goofiness for Doctor Who for my tastes. Just all those weapons in her wheelchair, incredible.
Yeah,
She's like, I'm gonna fight them
the
off
darts,
for you.
yeah,
Just
the
that
darts.
image of
I
her
was
just
like,
fighting
that's
them off.
silly, and then the
She
missile.
fucking
I was like,
blew up a
okay, now I'm
wall.
on board.
So that was just hilarious. It's like, you've got weapons in your wheelchair. It's like we all do. Just I love that. So I really enjoyed just her, you know, little character moments for her.
Yeah.
But a very kind of, I think, unique personality within the unit character roster that we've known so far. Felt very much kind of, it's a bit Harry Sullivan-esque, you know, not really caring that much about like the Doctor as this like big figure and stuff. And yeah, Brigadier-esque as well. And you know, Harry's one of my favorite classic Who companions, and he's part of my favorite classic Who team. So I like that dynamic between the Doctor and companion. So yeah, to see a character kind of echo sentiments of that was great, and I thought Reese's performance was really good, and I look forward to seeing her again. It was just such a big surprise with so much going on in the episode, and you know, she didn't have like loads to do compared to other characters. I think she still really made a really good impact, and I'm excited to see more.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. My third positive, and I had so much to choose from that this is kind of on par with my additional ones that we'll come on to. This is just the one I picked. The title sequence.
Okay, yeah.
I really like it. I think when it came on, I was like, holy shit, there's a lot of budget here. This is where most of the budget has gone. But it's great. I like the design. I like the idea that this TARDIS is like surfing on like the vortex. They've also kept a bit of sort of Jodie's vortex where it like pops out and goes into something else again. I like that they've sort of
that was a really cool idea. I'm glad that's kind of continuing.
Yeah, and when it pops out and it's like distance and it zooms in, I'm like, that's great. I love it when things do that, like in movies and TV shows where it's really far away. It does that massive zoom in thing. I think it's great. I think the colors are great. I hope they, you know, there's an opportunity they could do where they change the colors similar to, you know, Matt Smith's series where they just sort of swap the colors out if they want to do something.
They could do that, like change it depending on what color the interior of the TARDIS is or something.
Yeah, and you know, with I think with in, or at least in Russell's first year, whenever you saw the vortex, if it was blue, it was going one way in time, and red was going the other.
I think
you could do something similar with the
like
titles. I've seen a lot of people complain about the logo when it pops up. I'm like, I don't care. I think it looks fine. I've got no issues with it there. When it comes out, I think it's all just great, and the theme tune I think is really well in this as well. It fits quite well with the whole sort of grandiose nature of this. So it'll be interesting to see if that theme tune stays into series 14. I assume it will, but they might want to change it.
They might cut it differently. It might be the same theme, they just cut it a bit differently.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think just great stuff. And I think the titles for the show have sort of gone from being iconic to being like a second thought. I think there's a little bit of that start with Capaldi's, you know, after series 7 when they did the whole different logos, and then it sort of stopped, and then it kind of went, this is all we're going to use for the one thing. And I think they kind of just sort of went down in the priority list for the show, which is fair enough. You know, it's not a huge thing.
When your budget's running out, you need to prioritize.
Exactly. And you know, Jodie's was, I don't think there wasn't even a title sequence in her very first episode. So that sort of showed the sort of the priority list for there. So I think having it nice and be the front, and you know, they've clearly spent a bit of money on it. I think it's great. It looks great, and it certainly will get you hyped. And especially if it comes after a really good cold open, I think that'll be really good.
Hopefully, we'll get a good cold open at some point.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely wasn't today.
Certainly wasn't this episode.
But yes, what's your third positive?
My third positive. I mean, I kind of talked about it a bit, but like, I guess the Meta Crisis resolution deal. It's still not my favorite thing because they are doing a really good exit with this. And I do think whatever Donna's eventual next exit is going to be would be nowhere near as good as the first one, just because this was that good and heartbreaking. Yes, whoopsie. I wanted to kind of put this in my positives because one of my big worries, and I think we've talked about this already, when we saw. I mean, David Tennant, Captain Ted come out. Oh, cool! They're going to do like a flashback kind of thing with them. It's like, no, he's the 14th Doctor knowing. It's going to be present day. I'm like, oh no, here we go. I was like, what shit are they going to pull with this to make this work? And they were kind of hinting with that, with like, well, she doesn't have to remember me, then it's fine.
I thought.
I was like, and why have you not visited her when you had a completely different face? It's fine. So I was like, oh, they're gonna pull something out their arse with this explanation as to what they're going to do, and they're going to really ruin and undermine the exit. And it does still do that, because they are changing it.
Yeah.
But I actually quite liked their explanation for it, like passing the Met Crisis on. I think in a very Doctor Who way, it makes sense when they explain it. It's like, okay, it wasn't just techno-babbly, like when Rose actually saves the day and like fixes everything and like technically, I'm like, I have no clue what you did. That was like Jay's and Dr. Donna stuff. With this, I was like, okay, I can feasibly see how that sort of works.
And I mean,
I was actually like, oh,
yeah, if they've had a child be conceived in the TARDIS and get regeneration powers just from being conceived in the TARDIS, it makes perfect sense that, of course, having a child would help sort of dissipate that terrible power that only.
I like that. I like that continuity, that there is like an actual effect to like that kind of thing happening. Yeah. So that's cool, and I was pleasantly surprised at how I was like, oh, that's quite good. I like that. Because I was so nervous about that, because I knew that would just kill these specials for me if I was just not on board with whatever they did. And the fact that they did, I thought they were going to drag it out and then resolve it in like the last special or something. So
I feared that.
Oh, this is happening now.
She just wasn't gonna like properly remember until the end. I was like, they can't do that. She travels with him in a minute. They can't keep going.
So when it got to that bit and they were like trapped and separated, and he couldn't do the stuff on the other side of the room, I was like, oh, he's gonna have to make her remember this happening in the first episode. Oh shit. I was a bit nervous about that, but I really liked that kind of explanation. And when Donna kind of dies, that's when Rose's stuff really awakened and she was fine and everything. So it's still a bit of a cop out and an undoing, I guess, but I do think it makes enough sense, and I think they sold it well enough with the performances and the scene and everything to really make it work. I wanted to shout that out mainly because that was a big worry I have, and I was like, you thought of something good there, well done.
I think because if they just went, just over time it stopped, I think that would have been like, oh, well, that's shit.
Every time she went to the toilet, it got a bit less. She just peed it
out. So I'm glad that it makes sense. And I'm glad that it develops sort of the characters well. Because I'm pretty sure Donna and Rose now both have, in effect, sort of not necessarily Time Lord level intellect, but they have the sort of enough knowledge to be, scientific advisors to UNIT if that's how they want to move forwards with their characters. I think
I would not hire Donna because she apparently has that intelligence.
No, I don't think she's not getting a job at all. But Rose might. Rose is, there's an opportunity that Rose could stick around, especially given what Russell's been saying in the press. So wouldn't surprise me if that's sort of helped that out a little bit. But I think we'll come on to part. I have an issue with part of the whole resolution of that, but overall, I do really enjoy it. I think
I did put like mostly in brackets. Like...
Yes, the bit when they actually have to deal with the powers coming back, I think is good. But then there's a bit further on where maybe not so much. But yes, in terms of my other sort of positives, the design of the Meep and the Wrath Warriors, I think are great, and they're very well realized, based on their comic characters. They're great. I don't think the Wrath get too much play in this.
No, they're like your classic one of the mill shit Doctor Who monster, really. I like that they lean into that with like they have like these well-spoken actors doing their lines and the costume going. They maintained a Doctor Who-y charmness, I think.
Yes, I think they're not there to be the main protagonist or antagonist. They're just kind of there to further the story along, and that's fine. I've got no problem with that.
Yeah, you could tell who was going to be the villain because the Meep was getting all the story, like all the screen time in that kind of deal. Yeah,
the Wrath Warriors got one little bit in the alleyway that went, keep looking, and that was it. It's like, well, okay.
They scared the little boy, and then off they went. And then died.
But they're much better than the Slab. So great.
Oh,
You
I
know,
forgot about the slabs. Jesus, yeah.
the slabs. Also, most of the visuals throughout this episode are great. Actually, you know, you would hope that based on the budget of the
Yeah,
episode.
there's not really an excuse for
Um,
it anymore.
no, definitely not. But you know, a lot of the CGI, not just CGI, but the direction of it as well is very good. Rachel Talale's sort of back
Mhm.
in the directorship for this one. I think she does a really good job with it. Um, Especially sort of the TARDIS reveal as well, which we'll come on to. I think is really well done. And just all of it all looks great. And my other one is the TARDIS itself,
Yeah, that's
the
one of
whole
mine
thing.
as
I
well.
think I
I love
I
it.
really really do like it. I think at the minute it's probably a little bit bare.
Yeah, I kind of I had this thought when Capaldi's costume was first announced. It was like, you know, it was a bit like plain and stuff. Like, or maybe he could add like trinkets of like his adventures on the jacket or something.
Yeah.
I felt they could do something like that, just like keep adding something in for every adventure or something like that. You know, so it kind of becomes like a bat cave. There's a giant dinosaur in the corner, and there's a giant coin in the corner. That kind
It's
of
definitely
deal.
got the space. You know,
It's
it can do
certainly
it, and
very spacious.
there's plenty of doorways off to it as well, which is something that I quite like because I enjoy seeing that it's not just a single room. You can see that it goes off places, which obviously Matt Smith's and Pete Capaldi's TARDISes did quite well. Not so much with 9 and 10s, and not really so much with 13s either. They were kind of just one room. So the fact that these have like additional doors that people can go to, and you could do episodes set in there, which they've attempted before, but this it could work. It could work better this time. I think there's a jukebox in there as well. Again, from behind the scenes stuff, that it seems like there is one, but I don't think you can see it in the actual episode. No, so I
maybe
don't
it
know whether
comes
they
to
just
play for maybe a musical episode.
Oh, maybe. And yeah, I enjoyed David running around the set. Apparently, it was his idea to run around the set when
that was just David Tennant. They accidentally put the cameras on.
Yeah, literally. Apparently, after like 8 takes, he regretted doing it because he was massively out of breath.
I'm not as young as I used to be when I last did this. This is so much bigger than my last one. Help me!
Too much space. I really like the it's gorgeous and the little giddy dance that both of them do. I think is very good, and also helps sell that it's not the 10th Doctor, because the 10th Doctor wouldn't be doing that. The 10th Doctor's not going ooh.
Yeah.
It's very much this is someone that's done 11, 12, and 13, and has kind of had that progression since then, which is great. And yeah, I think the music as well throughout this is great, from the new theme tune. All the new stuff and sort of the references to the older bits. I think there's a bit of the I Am the Doctor.
I thought I heard some of that. Yeah.
For Donna's, when Donna's like doing all the stuff, it's there. Some of the music, obviously, from series 1 to 4 is in there as well, or at least series 4, which is good. And again, the new theme tune's great. Although I wasn't sure about it at the end. Yeah, there's a bit of I think it's called Is it Doctor Forever? I think from series 3. I think there's a bit of that in there as well. And the end credits, I was a bit like, why is there someone screaming over the top of this? But it's
the voice part was very loud. Like you could probably turn down the choir a bit. I was like, I genuinely thought like it was leading into like an X-Time trailer or something.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna cut back like
I thought that was a bit much, but overall the music was pretty good. And it helped sell the moments when it needed to. What were your additional positives?
So yeah, the TARDIS, I really, really like that design. I think it's very cool. I think it is definitely helped that they can change the color and make it all,
yes. And then a good point of saying they can do it.
Yeah, otherwise it would have been very like IKEA. Other than that,
clinical.
So I'm glad they kind of Someone said on Twitter like it looked like a dentist. I found quite funny. So I like that they can change it up, and we know for a fact based on some filming, I think that they will. Shane Donna immediately destroyed it, but I'm sure they'll fix.
Oh no, I've done it again.
Couple of episodes, so I'm sure we'll see more of it, obviously. And we talked about it earlier as well. The whole Donna Sylvia scene, that whole sequence where Donna was going to kill those boys, and I think she should have. I'd have turned my head, but that whole thing, I like that we're seeing characters, from 15 years ago in Doctor Who terms, having those discussions to fit like these modern times and everything. I think it's very important for characters that people love to have that discussion and to be as ferocious about it in Rose's defense as Donna was. I really liked all those little moments with her throughout the episode. So that was great. And then I thought, particularly David's performance in Donna's death, I thought they were both really, really good in that scene. David was giving it his all, as he often does. It reminded me a lot of when Rose is getting sucked into the void and he's like screaming the house down at her. As he always does, he does give it his all. And I thought his performance in that scene was particularly good. I was kind of like having to blink a lot during that bit. Obviously, then Donna was fine, so it was all good. But I thought those performances.
They had you going for a little bit. They had you going for like.
They had me in the first
10
half.
seconds. They were like, "No,
not gonna lie,
surely not."
I was like, surely they haven't misled us like this, and they're gonna kill her.
I was like,
no,
could they have faked the trailer footage for her appearing again? Could they?
I'd have respected it. It's the consequence I wanted. I'd have respected it. But yeah, she just had a bit of a nap, and then she's good.
Yeah. Same.
So yeah, I thought the performances in that scene in particular were very strong. I think like as a whole, once the episode really got going, I thought the second half was significantly stronger.
Yeah.
And yes. I think a sequence like that really, really showcased it. I thought the last like 50 minutes or so were just like non-stop, like yes.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. We must, however, now talk of our negatives of the episode. As always. So my first one, it might be close to yours as well. The little recap at the start.
That is one of mine.
Donna's gonna die. I don't think the story's over. Do you?
If it's not the first bit of the episode, it's fine. Like if you put that out in the week, if you put it in the lead up,
if that was like a separate like a prequel kind of thing, absolutely fine. But as part of the episode, I was just cringing all the way through.
Yeah,
like, no.
I saw it. I went, This is an interesting take. I respect it, but I appreciate I appreciate that it was trying something different to just doing a previously on and then doing just a flashback type thing. I kind of I appreciate the effort, but it didn't need to be at the start of this episode.
It was just the fact that it like leads into the titles and everything. So I was like, please no. It looked like a character creator screen, and then it was like, oh
yeah, I guess it's
someone needs to tell Catherine Tate she's not in the office anymore in the US. Like, why are you talking to the camera like that? It was just a bit like
I think if they put David somewhere physically, I think it's maybe a bit better. But the fact that he's just floating in this weird void is it's just not good.
It was just like that emoji of just a guy like this. No, it was just
and a lot of people have compared it to like a character creator scene because the way he stood, you could just put it's so silly. But if it's put out before the episode, if it's put out like half an hour before, it's fine. But sort of what I said to you, I was watching it with somebody who only day of had watched Blink at my recommendation, so he had not seen like any of this, so he had no idea. But then throughout the episode, he wasn't asking any questions about hang on a minute or what's happening, so it clearly served its purpose in terms of
you probably knew you'd kill him if you interrupted.
Well, there was that, but it served the
I feel like the episode already did enough once it gets to the scene with Shirley and the Doctor.
They didn't want to waste time with flashbacks in the episode, so they had to do it here. They were like,
they wasted time with previously on. They wasted time having to pay David Tennant and Catherine Tate more.
But I mean, again, it's not a huge. It's horrific, but
it's over blissfully quickly in the grand scheme of things.
Yes, and if you don't like it, you can just.
It's when Wild Blue Yonder opened, and it's like.
Same way.
The meep is still out there. Who is the boss?
Then I'm going to be like...
They do it every single one. It's the same thing, but they're in different locations.
And they just zoom in closer and closer every single time. So it's just going to be just David's top half this time. And it's just his head for the giggle.
Just forehead at one point. That's it. Just in too far. I don't think... If they do it again, I'll be like, there's no need. Please stop. But you can skip through them. It's before the credits, so you can just skip to the title.
Imagine Matt Smith is back and they have him do a scene like that, and that's it.
Oh yeah.
I would never watch the show again.
That's how they do it. They go 10 years ago, I was traveling with a friend called Amy. And no, please. Don't do this.
Oh man.
Oh, terrible. But yeah, it's just unnecessary more than anything else. I think it's just, I don't know. I get why they attempted it, and I appreciate the effort they went into doing something new. But
Yeah.
it's
If you
still
have to
not-
bend over backwards to do something like that to explain, to make one episode to make sense, I'm like, should you be doing it? I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's a debate.
Yeah. So is that your first negative?
That was my third. That was one of them.
Oh, lovely. Well, you can have a bonus one. You go for your first now then.
Okay. I thought the ending was a bit crap.
What? Which bit? Which part?
Yes. Just I think the whole coffee thing. I'm like, I get it. I guess.
I rewatched it, and I wonder if, because they're kind of like Sylvia and Nat are all like, oh, don't go on any adventures. Maybe Donna's done it on purpose. They're like, finally, I can go on adventures. Whoopsie. I think that
If
might
that is
be
the
the
case,
intention.
Fine. If it's like maybe it's the toy maker doing something to her. I don't think it is, because they established early on that's how Donna lost her job. I think it's just Donna.
Yeah, but I think
So-
it's the fact that it looks too staged, and she's
It's
like,
very
oh, no.
staged. Yeah,
Oh.
but I don't think there's any way of that being good. No matter how you try to say it, really.
You can just like, maybe you could bring the jukebox in, put it on the side, and be like, oh, a jukebox, and as she turns, she just knocks it.
Yeah, it's just, we get this nice grand new TARDIS, and it can be defeated by
Immediately
coffee
on fire.
when T healed 10 and made him wake
Yeah.
up. I'm like, where does it end? And like, yeah. So any villain out there just needs to know that coffee destroys the TARDIS and will send them through whatever hell Wild Blue Yonder is going to be. But then just like, it's like, we could go anywhere in time and space. I was like, oh no, the appeal of the show. No,
Yeah.
why is that the
Oh.
cliffhanger? That's the pitch for the Doctor Who. That's Doctor
Yeah.
Who. Why is that the cliffhanger?
Yeah.
It's like, it's the end of the universe at end of turn left. And like, okay, you've
Yeah.
been there already in Utopia. What's the deal here? So I think it was a bit, I guess, underwhelming. I guess after what had come before, it just happened so quickly, like that ending, and like,
Yeah.
Again, that felt like a children need sketch, like, oh, Donald spilled coffee on the TARDIS, but instead it was the end of a 60th anniversary special.
Yeah, I do get your point. I think hopefully in the start of the next one that we're like, oh yeah, sorry, I did it on purpose because I wanted to.
Yeah,
go
I
on
think
adventures.
a lot of my feelings about this episode, I think, they will change in the context of the next two episodes, I'm sure.
Yes, hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, even though it was like very standalone, but you never know. We did get some kind of setup with like this boss, so
Yeah, well, we'll come on to that in sort of additional bits later on.
we may see the meep again in the giggle. Who
We may
knows?
do. That would be lovely. My second negative: the screwdriver can make screens now.
Yeah, that's one of my bonus ones. If people fucking moaned before, they better be fucking moaning now. Because like, where's the danger now? Anything shooting at you, bzz, done.
Screen, yeah. I wonder if if the whole point of that is gonna be that the screwdriver just gets destroyed, like K9. They just find reasons why you can't have it anymore.
Yeah, you need to like depower it a bit, I think, when you do
Yeah.
that.
And it's like, it's fine, but it then
it's a
takes
cool
away the
gadget.
whole-
And like the Doctor
Yeah.
shouldn't have that. That's something Captain Jack should have, not
Yes,
the Doctor.
yeah, and I mean, it makes sense with the design of it, with like the little 4 prongs and the whole thing. And I like that he draws it. So I'm like, oh, maybe do some squiggly lines and make like some funny
Yeah.
screens. But
If we'd seen like an origin for it, and we kind of say like, oh yeah, this is this really powerful thing,
Yeah.
but he just kind of whips it out.
yeah,
I don't mind when he's like getting the screen up and he's like flicking around.
yeah, that's fine.
Whatever. That's like a Doctor.
It's like having a
thing.
phone. Yeah,
But just this whole last, like, I can make shields. Just like mention like, oh, they only last for a minute. We need to get out of here or something. Some
yeah. I mean,
limitation.
they did break down, didn't they? They did like get shattered.
But it is
So
still
they're not infinite.
very
yeah.
powerful. And
You can just make loads in a row, and you take a
Yeah.
while at least.
when people say it's a magic wand before, I'm like, okay, like that. I hope you're not being
Yes.
silent about this now. So yeah, it was a lot, but maybe he will do it eventually, and maybe they'll design something different for Shooty. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, it gives the opportunity for the new toy, any new toys coming out, to have a little projector involved where it can do a little, like a little screen image shooting
That's
onto the wall.
true. Yeah.
Which it's fine. I think I get it from like a kid's point of view. I think that's such a cool thing to have, that can just make a screen and you can be like, oh, like if you're playing with your
It's
friends,
very
like,
easy
oh,
for
look
kids
at
to be able to just like do that, like you're watching Disney Channel.
Yeah.
That's basically what he was doing.
Yeah.
And then it makes a shield.
Yeah, it's fine, but I do think that it's OP, please nerf. And
Yeah.
we'll see if it does get nerfed.
I liked that he resonated concrete. That was fun. You know, it reminded me a lot of the sequence in Gridlock when he's like just going down all the cars. It's just that, but the other way around. He's just going through these houses. So, you know, I like that. 'Cause that feels like a Sonic, you know, that is what Sonic Waves could do. But can they make a shield? Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that's it. I mean, you know, again, it's not something that I'm like horrifically bad. That's ruined the episode for me. But at the same time, I'm like, a bit jarring, I think.
Yeah. Especially because it's such a long sequence of him actually doing it as well. Like it took him like a minute to get all that set up. So it's not just like, oh, forget about that. It's fine. Let's go.
Yeah. Maybe that's why he won't do it too long. Maybe he's like, oh, it just takes too long. Just run away. Just keep going.
Yeah, die.
Yeah, basically. So what's your second negative?
My second negative. I feel like, I mean, it's just kind of, this is very much a me thing, but I think the balance between like a serious situation and making it quite comedic. There's a few moments like that and a bit like the whole kind of, well, you know, it's just if she remembers me kind of loophole. You know, they kind of make it like making light of it. I'm like, this is still like a serious situation here. And the fact that they conveniently skipped over her actually remembering stuff in the end of time in their pre-deal and never mentioned it in the episode that she did actually remember stuff and then and he had like a backup that I never mentioned before. Hooray. You know, so they kind of just forgot that happened, ironically. So stuff like that, and like it's a serious thing. And when 14's like, oh, I've got 2 hearts too. And Donna's like, what did you just say? And Sylvie's like, don't say that. And 14's just there like, what did I do wrong? I'm like, you're not realizing what that could do. And like he's being quite uncharacteristically clumsy about Donna's fate there. Yeah. And then again, you know,
but maybe that's the 12th Doctor side of him sort of coming through and having that sort of an awareness of it. I don't know.
Maybe the deal is he is an amalgamation of a lot of doctors, but you know, you want each doctor to actually kind of feel a lot more unique, I guess. But we'll see, because maybe that is where they're going with it. And then London's being torn apart and everything's on fire. Her family's in immediate danger, and Donna's like gets all that stuff back. She's like,
"Where's my money?
I gave away all my money.
Where's my money?"
Like, oh yay, she's selfish again! Yay! You know, I loved the bit where she kind of explained why she's giving it away. I was like, oh, that's really sweet. That's just like something that he would do. That was very wholesome. And then again, just undercut, because that's not the real Donna. The real Donna isn't that nice. Like, okay. So, you know, there's that balance. And again, there are moments where they get it right. I think the Meep is very silly and comedic and stupid, but it works so well. And things like that. And there were a few like one-off lines that I found very funny. Like you sent me the meme of it earlier when she was like, you know, after the age of 35, you shouldn't wear a suit that tight. That line was hilarious. And the delivery just made it so good.
Brutal.
And, you know, classic Donna, like missing the situation again, or what she like, you know, repeating the classics. So there is stuff that worked, but I think that made it all the more like and obvious to me when like I feel like there could have been more of a balance here. But again, that's a me thing. But that is what the point of our opinions are, isn't it?
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, I do get your point, especially the one where like they're just chilling with the Meep in the living room. I'm like, you should really be making more of an effort to get this guy out of here, because you yourself know
what's out of there.
yeah, literally. But, yeah, it is. Love it.
But look how cute it is.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. My final negative is sort of not the resolution for the Meta Crisis, because I think that's all fine. But when they just go, oh, we're just going to let it go. I'm like, first of all, kind of let what go? What exactly are you letting go here? Is it everything, or is it just the power of regeneration?
It might be like their intelligence is also gone now, because we might get that.
Well, exactly, and we don't have that sort of necessarily confirmed. But the way that Rose is like, I'm now the me that you know, I'm now me or whatever. That makes me feel that there is still some Meta Crisis stuff left over, because if like then she's surely just the same as she was before.
Or the fact that maybe it is all gone because like that was all Donna. Now she's gotten rid of all of that. Now she is her.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, I'm sure we're going to see her again, so we're probably going to get some answers.
We'll get there probably will be something like that. But kind of, I'm like, are you just letting go of the power? And it's kind of like, well, why didn't Donna just do that in the first place? If that was the case, unless it could only be done now that there's less to let go of, it's easier
for someone who knew all about a meta crisis and stuff, you know, in Journey's End, he knew like Donna was fucked. You feel like you would know that she could have just done that. But he was a man, so maybe.
Yes, yeah. Because it's fine. I can understand sort of having the different mindset of different people, and maybe it just didn't cross his mind that that's something that you could do. Which is fair enough, but I think it just needed a bit further explanation in terms of what actually had happened. But overall, it was fine. I can deal with it, and I do love Sean being the supportive dad and husband.
I told you, mate. I'm lucky.
I was like, good. What a man.
Dead man walking.
Oh, no, please.
That's how Donna leaves. She can never forgive him when Sean dies.
Oh, dear. Yeah. But, it is what it is. It's fine. And like I said, I think we're almost definitely, we're seeing Donna obviously throughout these three, but I think we're definitely seeing Rose outside of these specials. So they've got all the time in the world that they want to explain it a bit more and delve more into what she can and can't do.
Definitely,
And like I said, if we've had people just River Song just give away regenerations and the Doctor just give away regeneration energy and all that kind of thing, there's no reason
Meta Crisis is just the same thing.
Yeah, there's no reason why they can't do it. It's like, okay, my regeneration energy is gone now, because it is what it is. It's a show. It's a sci-fi show that has literally no rules, so do whatever you want. So your third one was the sonic screwdriver, was it?
It was the previously thing.
Oh yes, the recap. Is there anything else you wish to add on the previously?
A few things. I mean, I talked about the sonic screwdriver, obviously. I thought Sean and Sylvie didn't have that much to do, but maybe they'll get more in the giggle.
Yeah.
I did put as well, like, Rose doesn't have much to do either, and then the ending happens. Like, cross that out. There we go.
Never mind.
And, the classic like technobabble. I'm clever now and doing all it. Just press the buttons, it's all done. Very neatly undoing all the damage to London when it's cracked open. It's just fine. F in the chat for all the people who died falling into those chasms.
I can't get back out again.
Can't just go again now. They're just holding. They're nearly at the top. It just closes.
Oh no!
So I kind of wish there was still something maybe left over damage-wise. It's just, but it's, it's all back in the box. This is the classic kind of deal. So that was a bit like, okay. And I just made a note of it just to point out when Meep was like, and deadlock seal, and then 40 went, it's been deadlock sealed. Who wrote this? Chibnall. Just pointing it out. The Doctor Who just does that, not Chibnall. So just a few things like that, and I did like the opening titles. For my taste, I missed the flow of it. I thought there was lots of just cuts, like I just see it now, see it now, see it. I do miss like it's just like flow like previous
following it around.
But again, it's like 20 seconds because it's quite a short sequence now, so it ain't the end of the world, is it? But I do love the design of it and everything. But I think that's all like my extra little nitpicks, really. No, there is one more. There is one more. Sorry. It was just a bit. I think it was the scene with 14 and Shirley. It was like the universe is turning around her again. I was like, you met her once. Again, you've jumped to this conclusion. It felt to me, there were a few moments where it felt like, wasn't this era great? Wasn't this era the best? And it felt very much like that. I'm like, okay, let's calm down. Like, let's not make this like super important and everything. Kind of like that video they posted on the Instagram. That guy is doing like the things you need to know before blah, blah, blah. It's like, Donna Noble is the most important companion in Doctor Who history. It's like, that's a start. That's a statement you've made. So there's a few moments like that. I guess you've earned it at this point, and we're still in the stage of the 60th. I think it's like, it wasn't series 4 great, rather than probably next week where it's going to be the 60th anniversary. So for now I will allow it. If that's just what the next 2 episodes are as well, I'll be a bit like, come on, man, you're better than this. So those are very nitpicky things, but those are just my first thoughts. I literally had the notes up on my phone. I was just making notes as the episode aired. So those are my initial impressions, and I'm sure things will change in the context of the next 2 specials. And when we look back on these in years to come, when we reach this point yet again.
God, could you imagine? Won't be too long, to be fair. My other one, I think they did the what thing too many times.
That and when I knew they were going to do it, obviously, when they first mentioned her name was Rose, and he was like, what?
Yeah.
What? That's name? I was like, thank God they never did that again. They just got over it. I was like, But yeah, there was a lot of what in the first like 15 minutes.
Twice. Well, that's it. He did it twice.
Even Donna was doing it. I'm like, calm down.
Yeah, I appreciated that. Oh, never mind. Sort of at the end of that, I was like, oh, they're never going to do that again. And then they did it. Yeah, after Donna died, and I was like, oh, again? Come on. But it's fine if they want to lean into him having that as his catchphrase. So be it. But
yeah, it gets applause, doesn't it? So
exactly. And the only other sort of nitpick is Fudge.
Fudge.
The boy.
Fudge?
His name's Fudge. I'm pretty sure it's Fudge.
I feel like I should remember that. I love Fudge.
I'm pretty sure that's what she called him. Because I remember going, that's a strange name for a child.
I guess it's just a fun nickname. He probably stole some fudge from a shop at some point.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but either way, he doesn't need to be in there.
No, he did get a surprising amount of screen time, didn't he?
He was there and he went, look, they're on the field, and then went to the field, and then hello, there's aliens. Oh my god, aliens! And then looking out the window, and I was like, you don't need to cut back to this kid. Just stop doing it. Just
terrified by the bug people. Like, and then he's just looking at the window at the big cracks in the floor.
Maybe it's the toy maker. Maybe
it is.
It's
the toy maker's son.
Yeah. But I don't know. It was just a small nitpick because it just stood out to me as like, oh, that's a bit strange. But it is what it is. Well, I mean, the episode came out yesterday, so I assume you don't really have any fun facts for us.
I've got a few.
Oh, yes.
So thank you to the Doctor Who wiki for all 6 facts that I have.
Nice.
It's not terrible. I think a lot of them are, just stuff you probably would guess and know, but still.
Yeah.
Let's go through them anyway, very briefly. The episode story is based on a comic book story of the same name by Pat Mills and Dave Gibbons, who are credited in the main titles, which I thought was a really nice touch. I enjoyed that. The episode aired 1 year, 1 month, and 2 days after the previous episode, The Power of the Doctor, marking the longest gap between 2 consecutive stories since the show's return. Never again, baby! Never again.
Really
do we have to wait that long?
That won't happen until the show's cancelled.
God, it was so long. Next year when the show's cancelled. This is the first time since the TV movie the executive producers have been credited straight after the title sequence. So there you go. It's like it's a movie or something. This is I guess spoilers for Doctor Who Redacted if you listen to that podcast. While not explicitly said at the time of release, the season 2 finale of podcast Doctor Who Redacted leads directly into this episode as characters Cleo and Apex watch the Meep Star Cruiser fly through Camden Town. So that's a nice little link. The 4th Doctor previously donned a wig and conducted a trial in the Stones of Blood. So throwback, I guess. And finally, this is the first time in the revival the TARDIS has created a new console room for itself without the previous one being destroyed. Well done. But then that one was destroyed. So
yeah. I would absolutely love it if they just turn up to the TARDIS next episode and it's just completely different again. And then just that really nice one they loved. It's just gone.
It's going to be Tennant's. Hold on.
Oh,
here we go.
That'd be hilarious. But I don't think they'll do that. They'll just have the fires gone and
they dismantled that set after the Doctor's wife. Well, I guess they're the Doctor.
Well, yeah, that's true. But yeah, fair enough. Are there any other sort of points you want to hit on? I've got a few points that I want to just sort of have a little chit chat about. But
okay. I think I've said everything, so go for it.
Yeah, fair enough. Kate and Wilf. Unit's sheltered accommodation that they've apparently set up, and Kate's like a nursing home attendant or something like that. That was very nice. That was a nice.
Because that was kind of like that was nice, especially because we know that's how the Brigadier died as well. In the Wedding River song, he was like in a care home and stuff, and she visited him all the time. So that's very sweet that she would do the same for the nobles.
Yeah, and it also makes sense because they have the whole companion thing, and maybe through that they got in touch with Sylvia and went, "Oh, all right, we'll give you a hand."
I think that's probably where it spawned in. It's just when they were like, "He's not dead."
yeah, not in the show at least. But yeah, I like that scene, and that's good. The press guy getting held into a unit there just to be got at.
Why did people miss those news reports? I just don't get it. Just spend that screen time on the main characters.
I know. But I appreciate him getting got, and judging by set pics of like 2 seasons ago, maybe that's going to rear its head again with the unit being a bit too overzealous with its sort of control of the media and when it comes to aliens, which will be fun to kind of explore.
Yeah.
And then also, when this came out, they had Doctor Who Unleashed, which I would recommend everyone go and have a little look at because it's great. It shows a nice behind the scenes of how it was all filmed for this first one. They've also released loads of behind the scenes stuff on social media and YouTube as well, which is all great.
As well?
There is an official Doctor Who podcast as well afterwards, which by all accounts I think has gone down okay.
Yeah, it's like a half an hour thing. So if you have a long walk somewhere, just stick that on.
Yeah, and then also they released an In Vision episode, which has I think they did it in. I know they definitely did one for I think the series 2 finale when that came out on DVD with David and Billy, where effectively it's just a commentary. There's a little box that pops up every now and then. I mean, it's an audio commentary, and occasionally they pop up in the corner and you see
so
them.
You can see them. Yeah.
I think it's David Tennant. Is it Phil Collinson?
Yeah.
And Vicky, someone who's one of the executive producers, and they sort of talk through it and they give some interesting tidbits about sort of filming and how it went and all that kind of thing. So if you are interested in the behind the scenes stuff, there's plenty of stuff out there, which is great because I think a lot of people, both in the show and sort of in media in general in the UK, have sort of said that those kinds of things when they were younger helped them get into the business and sort of inspired them to go into. It's good that the show and Russell have made a point of making that available to people so that people get inspired, not just from watching the show, but from also seeing how it's made. And it's good. It is interesting.
In a time when those kind of special features are dying because nothing's coming out physically, it is good that they're leaning into that Doctor Who.
Yeah, and it is good. I mean, Unleashed is only half an hour long, and that was a real breeze to watch through, and it's quite funny as well. It's quite lighthearted.
Yeah, I know it's just for like us in the UK at the minute having that kind of stuff, but Disney Plus might get those kind of extras eventually.
Yeah, and there are ways you can watch it online.
F in the chat for Republic of Ireland who don't get access to iPlayer, so that's kind of
either of them. Yeah, you'll get it soon. Hopefully.
Sorry, boys, should have watched it live, suckers.
But yeah, there's plenty out there, and there's plenty you can dig around and try and find if you don't have access anyway. Not that we condone it. But
no.
just there are ways. That's a fact that you cannot deny.
If you've got to watch it, you've got to watch it.
Exactly. So, out of 10, what are you going to give the Star Beast?
A very solid 7 from me.
Interesting. It is an 8 from me. I think there's a lot more to enjoy than there was against it. And that may fluctuate when we go through the next 2 episodes. And the next one is Wild Blue Yonder, which we literally know nothing about.
Barely know a thing. Even the teaser was like, yes, girl, give us nothing.
Yeah, exactly. They released a clip in Unleashed. They put a clip in there, like, oh, is this? And that still was like, what does this mean? So it's interesting. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. We know there's life signs, but we don't know what that's going to be. Is that the little robot boy we've seen on posters? Are they classed as life signs, or is it former companions and stuff? Is it that kind of thing, or is it a clip show like we speculated?
Where have they ended up? What is going on? Yeah. We know there's a redacted cast list in Doctor Who magazine,
there is.
So there's going to be someone we either know from the show or is a big name that they don't want to spoil that's been cast in it. We'll have to wait and see.
It should be interesting. And we've got a few more questions sort of that haven't been answered as well. Again, why has the 10th Doctor's face come back? That's one that they've kind of teased as like, oh, does it matter? But I think we'll get a resolution too.
Yeah, even Don was like, it's you. Yes, obviously there's going to be a reason for it. And obviously you're going to find out. So, it's like, we promise we are going to get to it.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, Meep reference to the boss. There's been all sorts of speculation. Is that the toy maker? But at the same time, I think in the InVision, while I've not finished it, I think David doesn't know who the boss is, which kind of hints towards it maybe being the next series bad. Which will be interesting if they do if they've already set up how that's going on next series in here. I think would be interesting. But who knows? We'll have to watch and find out.
We will.
But yeah, that'll be it for this week, and we will be back after Wild Blue Yonder when that is next Saturday. God, so soon, so much Doctor Who. So
I
exciting.
don't know what it's all about this time next week. What on earth?
Hopefully. Fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
I might not understand any of it, but
Yeah,
I'll
no.
enjoy it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's it. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.